Alright, it appears we are finally live. Sorry about that, guys. The Champion Select is going underway for this very quick match here. Bans going out, Gangplank being banned from LP Idni, a very well-known main amongst the Sleep People community. Darius, no surprise, being banned, but he was not banned out of any of the other 3 matches we did prior to this game, so not, I guess, a surprise that it's not a surprise. Fizz and Riven also being banned from the purple team. And we're seeing Yasuo, the 3rd ban for Blue Team, finally going down. Not a big surprise. I think he's been banned nearly every single game so far. So waiting on the final ban from Purple Team here. Kind of interested in what they're going to go. Might see a Mordekaiser ban, and there it is, the Mordekaiser ban going out. Sailor Mercury waiting to pick. So far this tournament, we've seen a lot of success with casters, and generally, anyone with sustain and constant sustain at that, like the Vladimir and the Fiddlesticks did amazingly with the amount of CC and sustain he provides. We're going to see a Nautilus being hovered over right now by Sailor Mercury. We'll have to see if he locks in. He does lock in to the Nautilus, a very interesting pick. We'll have to see if he goes full tank or starts to go full for some hybrid or full AP, in fact. I wonder how Purple Team will react to this. He does have a massive shield and generally benefits from building health, so we might see anything that counters health in reaction to that, or anyone who builds an item like Blade of the Rune King or Liandry's, for instance, that will counter the health as well. Or you could always fight tank with tank and go for like a Galio or a Mundo. And Trundle, also a very smart decision, going to use that ultimate onto the Nautilus, steal his resistances, not necessarily the health, but do a percent of, or a heal for a percent of his own health, which is very nice. A very smart decision if he does decide to lock into this, but we'll have to see if they do decide to go for this. LP Idni still not hovering or picking anyone, going to choose Victor, a very strong AP carry. That's actually very interesting. Oh no, in the last moment he is going to switch to the Echo, and that's going to be interesting to see, and I'm curious to see if he's going to build tank as well, like the very common tank junglers we see on Summoner's Rift, or if he will be going AP. Shocking and not shocking at the same time. I poop on you. What a great name. On Soraka there. That'll be an interesting pick, I have to say. He's not locked in yet, so I'm a little doubtful that he's going to lock in because of how squishy and unreliable she can be as a solo pick. But if she does land her self-sustain from her Q, that can be a very deadly factor. Still suspecting that he's just going to switch out, but that is very interesting. And then there we are, we're seeing the Fiora being hovered on now. And 4 seconds left. Looks like he's going to pick the Fiora. And the Fiora is locked in. I won't comment on summoner spells just yet, as we do have 50 seconds left for them to change them, and more commonly we do see them get swapped in the last 5 seconds or so. So we'll just hold off on that. So Fiora is a very interesting pick. I'm not really sure how well that's going to do. I don't feel like that's going to be a very good effective pick against the Echo of all people. Trundle, maybe so, but at the same time you have to consider the fact that her Rapace is going to be bare useless against the Trundle's Pillar. She will just... I don't even think she can really do anything about it, and I've never really seen the interaction of it between it, but I have to imagine that it's not just going to cancel the Pillar from coming out of the ground entirely, even if she does time it right, very luckily. She does have a lot of sustain and will provide that to her ally there, and that's something that'll be very good if they do, if they are able to get a kill here. But the Trundle and the Echo both have such kill potential here, especially Echo with that ultimate, just rewinding his life back to normal. Trundle has just massive escapes, so much sustain. His ultimate is going to give him a humongous amount of resistances and health, especially if that Nautilus is going full tank as well. So I have to suspect that he is going to go heavier AP. If not, that is going to be a fairly poor decision, unless he's very clever about his build. Exhaust going down on to the Trundle. I think he was holding on to that from the very start, I believe. So mainly just doing that, I believe, for just actually, you know, when you think about it, that can be counterintuitive because he's going to lower their resistances, and then if he uses that, if he exhausts them first and then uses his ultimate, he's going to get effectively less stats out of his ultimate. So you have to watch out for that, and hopefully he's aware of this fact. 2 ignites going down from LP Idney and I Poop on You. Very wise for both of them to actually have them against these teams. Obviously Trundle has a massive amount of sustain, but in the same regard, so can Fiora, especially once she pops her ultimate. Nautilus Ultimate will be a fairly powerful tool in this matchup. The map is very small, so usually it's not hard at all to actually navigate to the target you're choosing to go to. Echo will be able to use his ultimate, or even his small little dash that he has. That's basically a little teleport to get some distance away. But Fiora has the same little dash as well, and obviously ulti plus anchor can mean imminent death regardless of your escape abilities. But that said, there's a lot of potential with that Pillar of Filth on the Trundle to just disengage any team fight that they try to engage. "50 seconds left, guys. Not much to say. If I'm going to put my money on who I think is going to win, I still think I have to put my money on the purple team here. The blue team does have an interesting team composition with that Nautilus and Fiora, but I don't really see a whole lot coming from it. I think the Nautilus is going to be a little bit lackluster in this situation. Fiora has potential and definitely can snowball well, but I just don't think it's going to really happen as easily as they're hoping for it to. Because if you look at this on paper, that Trundle basically counters both of them in some regard. His Q is going to lower the AD of the Fiora with his Q. Yeah, I was just repeating that. His Q will lower the AD of the Fiora ever slightly. I believe it caps out at maybe even 40 AD at most once you're rank 5. Might be more or less. I can't quite recall. But that's just going to be another factor into this team fight here. On top of the fact that he's going to be ulting that, he's going to be ulting either one of them. Really, he can ulti the Fiora depending on what they build. And like I said, depending if that Nautilus will build AP or at least some kind of hybridized build, this can be favorable for them. Sorry about that, guys. Just had previous settings left there. And as you can see, the borders are gold, gold versus diamond, diamond. But don't be too intimidated by that. As we saw last round with LP Hydra and the team he was going against, they were both platinum going against a gold and an unranked, and the gold and unranked in fact won. And this is why we choose to run the tournament this way, because ranked does not really mean a whole lot in a 2v2 situation, especially in ARAM. Finally, for a surprise, we're seeing the items being bought very quickly there. 2 Dorans and boots and potions coming out from Echo and Trundle. Absolutely going to be the first people to the bush, as we see the Fiora slacking a little bit there. Fiora picking up a pickaxe and 2 rejuvenation beads, looking like she's likely going to be picking up a Tiamat for a Titanic Hydra or a Ravenous Hydra. A very interesting pickup. I think that's a very good one if she goes for the Ravenous Hydra. The lifesteal can be very good for, I mean, not the Ravenous Hydra, Titanic Hydra, excuse me. The lifesteal from Ravenous Hydra can be very beneficial, and I wouldn't be surprised if she did pick that up. I think for the opposing team she's going against at this point in time, that the Titanic Hydra would be a much better pickup. Nautilus getting that Catalyst the Protector is his first item. That's very good for laning and in general, not just preventing yourself from dying, and you can play very safely and passively with that if you do get low and start to lose the matchup. So it's good. But also we have to obviously understand that he's more than likely going to be building that into a Rod of Ages, and there is the option of a Righteous Glory, but I want to say it's more than likely he's going to be going into the Rod of Ages. Echo going to go in onto the Fiora. Ignite already going down. Not going to get anything from that, however, but they did get her very low, and this is going to be a very dominant lane as the health relics do not spawn until 3:15, I believe. Might be wrong on that. A lot of return damage going on to LP Idni. Ignite going down on him as well. The exhaust going down onto Fiora as Trundle is just getting some auto attacks and clubbing her in the face. Interesting stun going down onto the Nautilus, but not going to be enough to come out of that. Stun coming from Nautilus, as we can see, this is getting very intense very quickly. Much closer in these lanes than I expected. Nautilus throwing down the anchor, going to pull in the Echo ever slightly closer. Looks like Echo's going to go down first as Fiora receives the first blood and flashes away, so the Trundle cannot pick up the return kill. Little underestimated just presence there, but the positioning of the Echo and the red team in general were just too close for how much power that Nautilus can provide, and just lock them down right on the minions with no chance to escape. LP Idni going in onto the Nautilus, getting the stun, but he will just shield and walk away. What you have to note about both team members right now is that the blue team chose incredibly cost-effective items. They did not go for anything that didn't build in it. The Doran's rings and the Doran's items in general are used to try to pose an early game threat, and that's exactly what did not happen so far for the red team. Those items are not going to go anywhere, although they are incredibly cost-efficient for what they receive right now. But as you can see, that being said, once the blue team gets their first back, and once the red team gets their first back, the amount of items that they're going to have, unless red team can get some kills and push an advantage using what they've got now, will absolutely put the blue team in a major advantage. Blue team reaching level 6 before the red team here. I don't think they're going to go in, but they do have potential if red team decides to position themselves poorly. Nautilus going to try to go for the health relic. He will pick it up, but we're going to see a Pillar of Filth coming down from Trundle, knocking him back just for whatever reason. He did get a nice little stun time because it does make him airborne for quite a bit of time if you can use it correctly. Red team finally reaching level 6 as we see the level advantage already picking up as blue team is already level 7. We see Trundle's XP bar in the bottom left there. He's still very close. This next wave should get them to level 7, but they're still at a little bit of a disadvantage. So if blue team decides to initiate, they will have a slight damage up on them. But we are seeing the Nautilus ultimate going down. Fiora getting ignited as Echo's chasing nearby, but Nautilus left alone now with Trundle and Echo. Both of their ultimates. Trundle ultimate was used in that fight. I couldn't quite tell who it was on, but I would have to guess it was on to the Nautilus. I did not see much damage coming down to the Fiora. Stun going down onto the Nautilus. No, they're not going to go in with it, however, because it's just too powerful. The turnaround point, the backfire potential that the Nautilus has is very strong. He's starting to get a little bit low on mana, but a simple level up will fix that. And there it is. stun coming down onto both Fiora and the Nautilus. The Summoner Spell healed coming down from Nautilus, but it's not going to be enough to save the Fiora. LP Idni popping his ultimate to give him some health back, but it won't give that Trundle any health back in this case. He's very low on health and needs to be very careful of getting anchored, or it could mean his death. LP Idni going to go in onto the Nautilus, taking a lot of damage. Obviously, as you can see, the health bars here are not trading just exactly how they want them to. Ravenous Hydra being picked up by Fiora on her way back now. That'll be a very strong pickup for them, and also will provide them some more pushing potential on top of the fact that Nautilus has his shield AoE from the auto attacks and his E. Pillar of Filth going to miss the Nautilus, and it looks like he actually hooked into it, but kind of interesting. It pulled from the outer side rather than the closer one. Anchor going to land onto the Trundle. He will back off, however, after activating his E and getting some decent harass in. Reasonably high amounts of damage here coming out from that Nautilus C, so I have to assume that he's actually maxing it over his other abilities, in fact, even over his shield. And as you can see right now, it's actually rank 5, using that for the pushing potential and the, equally good as harass against both targets opposed to just a single, so that's kind of interesting. Pillar of Filth going to spot out the Nautilus and knock him back a little bit. When you do that to him in the bush, it actually provides a reasonable amount of security, because then he can't, unless he repositions himself, he will not be able to anchor you successfully. Trundle being a little cut out of position here. I believe he did use his ultimate onto the Fiora. A lot of damage coming down. Poseidon actually taking the kill onto Fiora as LP Idni activates his ultimate. He's still trying to get as much health back as he can here, attacking the minions for a little bit of health, but Nautilus is way too healthy right now. He's got so much health over them that he will be able to take the kill on Trundle and walk out safely. We do see the Blade of the Rune King being picked up by Trundle. As discussed in the Champion Select, that's just a very good pickup in general against the Nautilus, especially so if he builds health, and he actually is still going for that Rod of Ages, even though it's not finished. He, I'm sure, has enough money at this point. I'm seeing LP Idni getting a lot of harass onto them. At this point in time, he does have enough gold to finish that Rod of Ages, almost enough to get a second one, in fact. So dying for him, even though it will be a bit of a sacrifice, would be more beneficial, in my opinion, at this point than not. And I guess he's really just trying to wait it out so he can get an execution. But the longer this game goes on with him out, without making use of that Catalyst the Protector, the more time it's basically less cost efficient for him if he is indeed going for that Rod of Ages. In the next team fight, I have to feel that blue team is going to get the advantage on this. He did actually put the ultimate onto the Fiora, getting some just decent sustain, proccing back. They are getting a good stun onto the Nautilus, an easy kill, and now he will be able to finally back and buy his Rod of Ages, if that is what he was going for, because he could still be getting... There we go, we see the Rod of Ages finally going down, and he actually did buy a Haunting Geist, in fact, as well. LP Idni going to go onto Fiora. She will get a nice riposte, dealing some good damage back, but he is going to use his ultimate onto himself, like behind the tower there, in fact, and he's going to try to execute. I'm not sure if that's going to work. Getting very low, actually, just prepping the execute, I suppose, as Trundle does take the turret down. Very nicely done. Quite an interesting pickup, but I definitely agree with it. Morellonomicon being built first on the Echo. That'll be very effective, not necessarily against the Nautilus, because you can't counter, sponge sustain over naturally healing sustain. So, but a very good counter against the Fiora. She will have a lot of just attack damage and attack speed in general from, I believe, her E, just giving her her next 2 or 3 auto attacks massive amounts of attack speed. On top of the counter passive sustain that it gives, obviously the cooldown reduction will be a massive attribute to their team. Nautilus looking like he might want to go in here, just popping the E and getting some minion damage on there. The ultimate once again going down onto Fiora from Trundle. The stun will miss from Echo, but he is going to continue to go in. Riposte getting a little bit of stun time on them as we see the Nautilus ultimate going down onto Trundle. Echo going to use his ultimate, and it's going to be enough to get the kill onto Fiora. However, her ultimate still pops as she does, or Nautilus finishes the kill onto Trundle, giving him a huge amount of sustain that actually might be enough to win him the fight. Stun going down onto Nautilus, very nicely done. Winning him the trade, almost actually not. The minions may be able to finish him off here as we see a very close fight. He will flash forward and dash and to finish off the kill before he can take the health relic. Very smart decision, in fact, because he was going to get that, and that could have made a humongous impact on whether he lived or got a kill or got nothing at all. Echo, knowing Fiora is up, will not be able to execute himself once again. Fiora picking up a Phage, more than likely going to build that into a Trinity Force or a Black Cleaver. I would have to suggest the Trinity Force, but you never know. Overall, as we're seeing here, constantly, this Trundle is just targeting the Fiora much more over the Nautilus, even though the Nautilus, because of that fact, does have more kills, but that's the goal. You don't want the Fiora having 4 kills, you'd want her to have 4 deaths. Anger going to go down onto the Trundle. We are seeing the Pillar fairly nicely positioned, getting a lot of slow on them. Wow, that attack speed from Trundle just utterly decimating the Nautilus. The LP Idni going to go in with his dash as Fiora just easily gets away. It should be another free tower for the red team here. That Trundle is very powerful. It can just bite the tower to its end. Ultimate going down from LP Idni. He does have Ignite on him as Fiora is actually getting a lot of sustain from the ultimate. She will not be able to take out the Trundle, but she is going to get herself back to full health with her ultimate, the lifesteal, and the relic. And apparently, I wasn't aware, and it's really hard to notice since it's such an instantaneous cast, but apparently she was able to riposte the exhaust from Trundle. Fiora trying to go in onto the Trundle here. There we go, the Q finally happening, so he gets the slow onto her, but he sees Nautilus coming, so he will disengage. Once again, easy wave clear. The farm between both teams are very close. So the only real noticeable difference right now is that Trundle has 10 more CS than the Fiora. Obviously only making a 9 CS deficit. LP Idni picking up that Zhonya's Hourglass on his last back there. Going to be a very strong ability, or just item against the enemy team here, especially, we have to consider the fact that he could use that just to completely negate the Nautilus ultimate if he is aware and times it right, and if it's even advantageous for him. Against the Fiora, I'm not really sure what goods that's going to do against him, but the stun from LP Idni not going to hit. He will throw out his harassment there. Might be against their favor here. We do see the ultimate going down, but he's going to pop his ultimate. Very nicely positioned. It's a very close fight here, but red team will easily take out the Fiora after the Trundle chomps her face. Nice stun from LP Idni, and the Pillar of Filth once again going down. This is easily working into the red team's favor just as the game is scaling on. That Nautilus isn't having a huge amount of presence, although they are easily, they're definitely focusing down the Fiora, but the Nautilus himself is just not really being able to do a whole lot here. I feel like he would be able to do a lot more if he actually invested in more cooldown reduction rather than building into these AP health items. Poseidon going to go down onto the turret as his execution, as we see LP Idni doing the very same. Fiora almost getting close enough, but not quite close enough. Almost. You are seeing the Sheen and the dagger from Fiora, confirming that she is going to go for the Trinity Force. Excuse me there. Blue team just going to push up to the tower, not really going to be able to do much with it. There's not enough times. The Trundle did purchase Dead Man's Plate on his last back. That's going to be very powerful just in catching them out and following up with any catches. Can't imagine right now that they're going to have very effective... I can't really see them escaping a Trundle Pillar of Filth when he has Dead Man's Plate, and stopping that engagement from happening. They either can counter-engage with their own CC, mainly from the Nautilus, or they can pretty much take a beating and try to run, and then re-engage themselves. Super Minion pushing pretty close up to the tower. Red team going to back out of that, and we see the ultimate actually going down from both of them. LP Idni getting really close and actually tons of damage going down, but the LP Idni is taking the tower aggro. Fiora nearly going down. She looks like she's going to go back in, but she actually just ignites onto LP Idni as he uses that Zanja's Hourglass and gets a shield back. Very nicely done. That actually did absorb the damage from Ignite by doing that. I don't think it would have been enough to kill him, but that would have put him in a much stickier situation, no less. Fiora trying to get some lifesteal down from these minions using a Ravenous Hydra. It's not really doing a huge amount, but they are going to be able to save this tower here. Nautilus very low on health as well. Not going to be of much of use, and this is exciting. They both just stopped in place. It almost looked like the game froze, right? But no, they're just sitting in place, guys. Trundle approaching the tower once again. He's got so much lifesteal and attack speed. He does get a nice Pillar of Filth down onto them, but he's not going to try to engage with it, even though he very well could have. LP Idni going to try to put his stun down and teleport forward, but not going to happen. Just scaring them away as they're too self-aware of that fact happening. Trundle going to bite the turret for the final blow. Riposte going down, but it's not going to be enough. A nice flash from Fiora to get out of there as we see Sailor Mercury slowly going down from the two of them combined. Too much lifesteal and sustain at this point with that Trundle. He's pretty much unstoppable. And as we see here, the game is going to end. First round win of 3 going to the red team. Oh. Alright, well, we will be on to round 2 very shortly, guys. Ooh, I see. Players are seeing if everyone is ready, and we're going to see the game take off once that's done. And here we are in the Champion Select once again. We'll have to see how these bans go. I would be surprised if Purple Team did not ban the Trundle after seeing that slaughter and the power he had after even reaching mid-game presence. Echo also being an immediate ban from the Purple Team. That's a little surprising. I didn't feel like he was the most powerful asset of the team, but no less very strong, and also a very commonly picked main of LP Idni. Fizz and Riven, just two generic bans going out from the blue team. And we see Gangplank once again, another targeted ban to LP Idney. He has a very high win ratio and commonly plays Gangplank in general. Let's see what this last ban is for blue team. They're not really scared of anything that purple team has had to present so far. So, once again, we're seeing the Mordekaiser ban go out. I think that's a smart decision. He's incredibly strong, and regardless of whether they know how to play him, he can be a threat. Last ban from the purple team is being Darius. I think that's a smart decision as well. I'm not really sure how many people are actually going to be playing Darius, because so far, even in the moments that he's been unbanned, no one has chosen to play him in the current tournament. However, we'll have to see if that decision alone sparks them to pick the Trundle once more. Time just slowly ticking into his, and we do see the Trundle being hovered upon by Poseidon08. It is locked in, and that is going to be one tough cookie. Wonder what we have to see what purple team is going to do in reaction to this, because he's a very difficult person to counter overall. But there are potential picks here, and a lot of other strong picks that can easily just as much just snowball as well. We have seen a Vladimir before in the tournament. That's being hovered up by Sailor Mercury. He is rolling Exhaust as well. He did seem like he switched his summoner spells from the last game. That would be a little bit interesting, and also an Urgot pick. I'm not sure how I would feel about that one. There would be a lot of potential at a range for the Trundles. Uses Pillar of Filth to interrupt that ultimate cast, although I don't believe it will stop the buff from happening. It will just stop the transportation. Vladimir being locked in, and Urgot is being locked in as the time expired by I Poop On You. We'll have to see how this goes. I think that Vladimir can be a very highly useful pick in this situation, but we're also seeing LP Idney looking like he's going to go for Fiddlesticks. This is a very strong pick against the Vladimir. We've seen it before. He does have a lot of counter potential just in general for Vladimir. Vladimir's pool means absolutely nothing to the Fiddlesticks drain. Fiddlesticks' drain, so long as he has it cast on him first, will still continue to drain while he's running away, and he wastes a large percent of his health just to do so. It is not locked in just yet, but that is going to be a very powerful decision pick, I feel, and it also has good synergy with the Trundle pillar and slowing them in an AoE so long as he can position it right and time everything correctly. The Urgot pick is going to be a little interesting against them. Mainly, I think the focus for him is going to be that Fiddlesticks, in fact. So long as he can get a poison on him and start using the just, you know, his artillery from his Q onto the Fiddlesticks and just getting a lot of damage in general, maybe even mixed between auto attacks. I feel like he's going to force the Fiddlesticks to, you know, stop his drain, do anything he can to push him away, and that might just be a little bit more advantageous. There's no one really with a gap closer, you know, with that Vladimir. He can harass back, but someone who has a gap closer like Xin Zhao, maybe an Azir, Gragas, anyone who could really make use of you know, wasted cooldowns and poor positioning would also be a very good person to go with that Urgot against the Fiddlesticks here in this case. But this is what pick order does, and we're seeing how it is now. I don't think it's going to be incredibly useful against the Fiddlesticks, and we're still going to be seeing the Trundle being a power pick, but depending on how quickly they snowball, this can still be a fairly even game. That Urgot is the biggest hope of that Trundle going down, but I'm not sure how well he's going to be doing it. Between that ultimate, it won't really be doing a lot, in my opinion, for that Vladimir. He's going to swap his position, maybe put him in a chance to take more damage for the Hemoplague pop, but there's so much disruption between the blue team there. Mainly, you know, the Fiddlesticks has his silence from Dark Wind, his Q to terrify them, and obviously just that's all he needs. You know, he can silence both of them and fear someone for up to 3 seconds, I believe, or 2.5 seconds. It might have been nerfed. But the Trundle Pillar of Filth, the slow he has, there's just so much potential here for many pickoffs from the blue team. Purple team has a decent amount of damage, but there's not really a lot of synergy between the two picks. There's decent harass with the Urgot, and he at least will hopefully be able to make use of that if they do get pushed under tower. Between the two of them, Purple team definitely has the higher amount of push potential and shoving of the lanes, but both of them are fairly mediocre at that. Mostly we have the Vladimir here, who will definitely be the champion with his E and the AoE from that. The interesting thing, as always, is Urgot's passive does reduce the damage dealt by his target by 15%. That'll be useful in any situation, actually, so reasonably good. And it's not unique to one target at a time, so as long as he can attack both of them, that's pretty well done, you know, understandably. But this is only from his basic attacks, so he will constantly have to be applying them, and his Q. Also his Q, excuse me. But his basic attacks and his Q. So long as he can split that between the two, that might be able to turn fights in a lot of ways. He does have a shield, of course. His ultimate will give him resistances and what have you. His E, in fact, this is something that it's a little overlooked, and this is actually something that I poop on you might be having in mind specifically here. His E, so long as it lands on the target, will reduce their armor by 1%, from 12 to 20%. So that can actually be very just effective in general, maybe even reducing more than what the Trundle is going to receive. So his ultimate, while still giving him sustain, will reduce his effective health, so long as he does have the corrosive charge onto the Trundle. Still, nonetheless, they have nothing really to react with against the amount of sustain that both the Trundle and the Fiddlesticks have together. Very wise once again for either of them, and only one of them in this case, taking the Ignite, the same summoner spells for both teams, in fact. And we are getting right into this game very quickly. Let's see if we can get the builds coming out from the blue team just as quickly as we saw last time. And they are going for the same exact builds, Potions, Doran's Boots. So very interesting. We'll have to see if that does work out for them as well. Earlier in the previous game, I think it was more of a misplay than the items. They didn't really have it in their favor. Hextech Revolver being built first by the Vladimir, I think that's a smart decision, and we didn't really see it work out very much the previous games with the Vladimirs from last round, but because he did build Boots and 2 Amplifying Tomes rather than the Hextech Revolver right off the bat. But I think that's a better decision, just to build the full item along with those 5 potions, giving him a huge amount of sustain for the early levels here on top of leveling up, to try and live and just keep himself alive and useful in these encounters. Tear of the Goddess being no surprise, being built on that Urgot, is going to go for a Mirror Mana eventually. That'll just be very good for his auto attacks and just in general, turning him into the bruiser and tanky, just nightmare that deals damage as always. LP Idni going to take some harass as the fear does go down onto Vladimir. He is going to pull Ignite going down onto LP Idni. LP Idni going to turn around once again, just getting in some auto attacks. Not really sure where he was going with that. The Ignite is going to be enough barely to kill the Vladimir, as we see just an exchange of kills here for the exact same price. The only difference right now is the flash from Vladimir and being the one who had exhaust. Trundle still has his flash and exhaust, and as you can see, you know, it's still an evenly weighed traded evenly weighted trade, but a little lopsided here with the summoner spells and who use them. Corrosive Charge going to miss, not going to hit the Trundle. No lock on today. Vladimir on that first back after dying, actually picking up boots. So he effectively has what other people have done this tournament just sooner. Corrosive Charge going to land on the Fiddlesticks. He does land one shot, but he actually took a few tower shots there, it seemed like. Might have just been one, but that's a lot of health he just lost. Fiddlesticks going to fear the Urgot, actually forcing him to flash as the Pillar of Filth was very nicely placed, forcing him out of position. Corrosive Charge landing on the Fiddlesticks. We're going to get some attacks in here from the Urgot, but he has to fear for his life as Trundle exhausts and just continues to bite him. Nice flash forward from the Trundle, forcing him to just taking his life. In fact, he had nothing else going for him. Caught very out of position and underestimating his opponent's potential here. Interestingly, though, that was completely in the Trundle's control and in doings. The kills actually have so far gone to the Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is level 6 already, as we see the Trundle and Urgot already being level 6. Urgot looking like he's going to go for something here. Very nice Pillar of Filth, just getting the ultimate free reigns for a kill right there. Incredibly well done. The Urgot should have noticed that the Trundle was level 6, and obviously in light of that fact that the Fiddlesticks had to have been level 6 as well. With no vision on him and the Trundle being confident enough to just push the lane by himself, that should have spoken for itself. So a little bit of a poor prediction and just foresight there from the Urgot. As we see Vladimir, he was just sitting there at the tower the whole entire time, practically. Vladimir going to use his pool just to roam around there, trying to get some attacks, and obviously trying to elude the drain from Fiddlesticks. Ultimates from Vladimir and Urgot have yet to be used at all. Both ultimates, in fact, right now, even though the Trundles is soon to be up, have been down. If there's any moment for Red Team to make an advantageous move, this is it. Trundle ultimate is up as of now. We'll have to see if they make another play off of this, even without the Fiddlesticks ultimate. It hasn't stopped him yet, and it looks like he's not going to go in. He was getting a little close there. Pillar of Filth going down from Trundle, but nothing going to come from it, just sitting there, trying to get as much sustain out of those minions as he can from his passive. But the Corrosion Charge is coming down from Urgot, getting a lot of good harass in, but it's ARAM. We have Health Relics here, and he's going to sustain a lot of that back. I'm a little surprised he actually didn't place his W to get the increased sustain from the Health Relics. It's just a wise decision I usually feel is worth it, but he might not understand or just realize that that's a factor yet. Fiddlesticks going to fear the Urgot. It looks like that's a level 1 fear right now. Not really going to be doing a huge amount with it, just pushing him away. Fiddlesticks ultimate is about to be up. It is up now. We'll see if the blue team can make a play out of this. They obviously don't have the push advantage here, so they can't really just hide in a bush and wait for them, just like they did before. Poseidon once again taking out those minions himself, trying to get some more sustain, but he's going to take a little bit more damage in return. Fear going down from the Fiddlesticks as he does pop his ultimate immediately after. Pillar of Filth going to knock Vladimir slightly forward. Trundle getting incredibly low as the exhaust goes down onto Urgot. He's going to barely die. The Urgot ultimate is still going to push him away. Nice flash, but he's not going to be soon enough. and it looks like he will get the kill from the auto attack Dark Wind onto the Urgot. LP Idney looking like he's going to try to get the execution here. I'm sure he'll have enough time for it, but will it work? It will work. He gets his free execution, so he does back with 4 kills and no death. That's going to be a big weight on the red team's back here. He does pick up his Morella Onomicon. Very good and very smart decision. The Vladimir is pretty much completely nullified from this point on, even though he does have his Will of the Ancients. His burst damage will not be completely a null factor, but against the Fiddlesticks, it practically may as well be. He can just drain himself to complete and full healthy life. Trundle does have a Bilgewater Cutlass right now, and I'm not really sure what he's going to build that into. Because he already has a longsword, and it looks like he's going for a Phage and just trying to split between 2 items here. I'm sure he'll go into a Blade of the Rune King, but it doesn't look like that he's prioritizing it at the very moment. Pillar of Filth going down, going to force the Vladimir to pull himself to get in proper positioning here. Corrosive Charge is going down onto the Fiddlesticks, taking a lot of damage here. The trades are actually reasonably even right now, and Red Team doing a very good job of just keeping up on the damage. Fear once again going down onto Vladimir as he drains him down quite some more. But it's Vladimir. He will just Q and get a large amount of health back. Mirror Mana being completed by the Urgot. His stacks are not finished just yet, but he does have the item fully built, along with the Phage that he did build earlier. I'm not sure if he's going to be building that into a Black Cleaver or maybe even Trinity Force, but both would be good options right now. Fiddlesticks ultimate is up. We might see it. We do see the channel now as Vladimir face checks the bush, but the Pillar of Filth will actually interrupt the channeling of it as we see LP Idney's trying to drain himself back to life, but it's not going to be enough. He will play going down, and it's not going to quite take the Trundle down. He does get the last chomp onto the Vladimir as he can barely escape, but the Corrosive Charge is going to land onto the Trundle. He will cast one more Q, but it's not going to be enough. He flashes and auto-attacks and Qs once more as Poseidon was actually typing there. He stopped completely because he was telling, he was saying he sucks in all chat. Well, yeah, as you can see there, a little bit of a BM. As Urgot does get the execution. Spirit Visage looking like the next item that the Vladimir is aiming towards. He almost has the full requirements, the regions for it at the moment. Just very short. Next back is certainly going to have it, as we do see the Black Cleaver as suspected being built on the Urgot. It won't be much use against the Fiddlesticks, but against that Trundle, that of course will be of use in general, no matter whether he uses his ultimate on himself or the Vladimir. And it does look like he's building actually, we do see the Fiddlesticks looking like he's going to go for that Seeker's Arm Guard with the Cloth Armor and the Amplifying Tome. So that will be a little bit of a benefit on the Fiddlesticks even at that, too. Corrosive Charge going to miss both of them. We do see the Dark Wind bouncing between the Urgot and Vladimir. It's not going to be much use. Vladimir can just Q, and look at that. He's got 160 more health back. Blue team does have their ultimates up once again, which is basically their only means of initiating and actually winning fights, it seems like, at this point. Red team does have a huge amount of damage and sustain just between themselves, becoming tanky, and the Urgot obviously getting a lot of damage. We are seeing the Pillar of Filth going down once more. The ultimate from Fiddlesticks is being channeled, but the ultimate from Urgot will be used in reaction to that. Very nicely timed, but he's caught out of position under the turret here, taking some shots. Fiddlesticks actually flashing into the health relic, barely going to live through. You know, he would have sustained more, but he was ignited from the Urgot there even after his death. Vladimir looking like he might go down, but no, the Trundle is going to back away, being a little afraid of the tower, but the Pillar of Filth is going to go down. His pool isn't going to be up for quite a few more, for 2 more seconds right now, so maybe he can go back in here. There's no way he has enough damage to take out the Trundle, but he can survive this easily. Not many primary items being built on those deaths. Urgot not building anything, in fact, I don't believe. But we are seeing the Vladimir going in onto the Trundle. The Pillar of Filth once again going out. Urgot is approaching, so Trundle will back out with the movement speed from his W, allowing him for an easy escape. And we are seeing the Seeker's Arm Guard being built by Fiddlesticks. Obviously going to the Zhonya's a very common and expected item. Vladimir going to face check that bush as the Pillar of Filth will knock him back, getting some free sustain by LP Idney there, and also just good damage against him. But he's Vladimir once more. He will sustain a huge amount of this. At this portion of the game, 13 minutes in, they're level of 15, since this is a little bit of an expedited process, despite it being on the Howling Abyss, with only two players. We're seeing the ultimate going down onto the Urgot from the Trundle, an ultimate going down as well, but it's only going to teleport him into the Pillar of Filth once more to get him a huge slow. LP Idney getting quite low, but he is going to continue to drain onto the Fiddlesticks. There is no Ignite this time around, and the active from the passive from Relanomakon not quite actually going down onto the Vladimir, so he will be able to fully sustain once more. Vladimir does have his ultimate up. As of now, it just popped. We might see an engage. We do see the Hemoplague going down as LP Idney is once again sustaining a huge amount of health with his drain. Not going to be enough to kill the Trundle. He is sustaining a huge amount from the lifesteal of the Bilgewater Cultist and the minions combined. Just diving straight into the turret. He wants to die, but he is going to give a free kill in the process, and that can be a little dangerous. Vladimir has a very threatening late game, and they're also giving a second kill, saying they don't care. They want their back. I don't know if LP Idney is going to be able to have enough for the Zhonya's Hourglass right now, but I suspect not. We are seeing Blade of the Rune King going down on the Trundle and the finished Phage. He did have the requirements for it before, but actually going to finish the item now. Vladimir going to get that execution. He will build the Spirit Visage on this next back. We see it completed right there as Urgot finishes the turret for a little bit bonus gold for his buddy there. The scaling of the Trundle is also going to be a huge threat, but I still feel like they're being a little selfish here, and that can bite them back if they don't play this correctly. The Fiddlesticks ultimate is up as well as the Trundle, but we see a lot of potential here. If the Urgot, if they're pushing into their own base here, the Urgot can obviously ulti onto the Fiddlesticks, but we're seeing a under tower engage here from the Trundle. So much damage and sustain combined with those auto attacks and the Chomp for the extra AD applying to the lifesteal. An easy kill, and very surprising he didn't try to use his ultimate at any given point during that. Once again, the same exact act going down. The Vladimir will use his W to get away, but it's not going to be enough. Not even close. Very one-sided duels here going down from the blue team. That power spike with from the Blade of the Rune King and Phage on the Trundle is unruly. We're seeing them take down the tower very quickly there and also going straight for the inhibitor. Urgot is approaching, but there's no way he can stop two of them. Pillar of Filth once again going down. He will get the Fear, but not going to really do much with it. In fact, despite blowing his entire kit, he didn't cause him to lose any health. Pickaxe on that last back being picked up by the Urgot. We're also seeing the ultimate going down from the Fiddlesticks. He very nicely placed Pillar of Filth, but we're seeing the Vladimir getting a lot of damage onto him. He does not have a Zhonya's Hourglass just yet, so he will go down to the Hemoplague proc finally as he does pick it up there, whereas we see Vladimir still on the run. He's trying to sustain and run at the same time here. He's doing actually a very good job of it as his pull finally does come up again. The Pillar of Filth going to block his exit as we see the Trundle getting incredibly low and Vladimir having the sustain advantage. Trundle looking like he's waiting for the Pillar of Filth once again to go up, but he's going to use this Blade of the Rune King active, but he will get exhausted by the Vladimir. Very nicely timed, and he will take the kill onto Trundle. A little greedy there, but no less. They're obviously at a big advantage here, so it's not that surprising that he would do that in this last moment. The Black Cleaver being picked up by the Trundle, not a huge surprise. It's going to just make him even more powerful, and obviously just benefits the Phage being the primary use of it, in my opinion. Fiddlesticks does not have his ultimate up just yet, though in roughly, assuming like 10 seconds, we will see it active once more. He is sitting in the bush. It looks like the Dark Wind might go down. No, he's just going to fear. And actually a very nice ultimate from the Urgot. That was well done, but the Dark Wind bounce will interrupt it. That's very unfortunate. LP Indy's ultimate is up once again. He's going to channel it after the rock goes down. He's just going to flash forward fear and walk away as the ultimate AoE will take the kill. Trundle, Pillar of Filth once again going down, very nicely done, confusing the Vladimir. He actually tried walking around it because the pathing automation. LP Indy just going to sustain a lot more, getting a very long range fear onto the Vladimir, and Vladimir is just going to walk away, but the Dark Wind won't kill him, but Blue Team doesn't care. The game is over if this Vladimir does not return to the base and pretty much let himself die. They don't need these minions anymore. Trundle is incredibly tanky and incredibly powerful. Look at those auto attacks going down on the tower, especially with the Chomp. It's just nothing they can do about it. Urgot's ultimate is up, but it's not going to be enough. The towers are down, and Trundle is just not having anything to do with anyone right now. He is focusing on that Nexus, although we do see a nice ultimate from Urgot to almost get the kill onto Indy, but he will use the Zhonya's Hourglass to completely deny it. Win number 2 for LP Indy's team, and that is the victory for the match. Nice game by LP Indy and Brosidon08. Very nicely played, and that Trundle obviously showing a huge amount of potential and strength in the current tournament so far. Okay, so guys, there's not really much else going on in this game. This tournament tonight it's very late, obviously, during this VOD. So, without further ado, this should be the end of the tournament matches for tonight. If anyone here is still interested in watching, other than the participants primarily, but hey, I thank you guys for joining us once again here at League People. My name is Jacob Counter Clockwork Allen, and you're beautiful. Okay, I love you. You guys have a good night. And thanks for joining us.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.